Hey, sorry about that. OBS just decided to crash, but we're back. Yeah, so hopefully with the original creator of the series on board as a consultant, he'll be able to keep things on the path that he feels is appropriate for the story and the characters. And it's just like, for fans, it's just super exciting news. Hopefully it does well enough to where other beloved franchises might get similar treatments. I would love to see like a Lupin the Third live action. I know there was a movie in Japan, but that's about it. It'd be cool to see a live action show or a live action Trigun. You know, I always thought that was a series that would translate very well to live action, you know, if you got the right actors. So it is definitely exciting news for Bebop fans, and very curious to see who they managed to land to play Spike. And you could really get a ton of different actors to play Spike very well. And I think I'm most curious on who they get to play Eddie. Eddie is such a quirky character. It's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of who I could see playing that role. Honestly, thinking about it, just because of how just crazy and quirky the character is, I could see Miley Cyrus playing that character. I know that sounds really weird, but if you've seen the show and you know the character of Eddie, yeah, you'd see it too. So I am definitely looking forward for more news, more casting news, and just anything, any news on this show that comes forward is just gonna really get me excited. So moving on, Breaking Bad is officially getting a sequel. Now, I've actually watched, surprisingly, a lot of Breaking Bad, and it wasn't by my choice. My wife really likes the show. So I've seen probably about 75% of the series. I've seen the beginnings, and I've seen the end, and I've seen a lot of the middle. There are just episodes in certain seasons that I didn't see, but I know pretty much everything that happens. So I'm guessing this show is just going to follow Jesse, because it obviously can't follow Walt. What exactly do we know about the sequel?
Well, it basically came out of nowhere. Like, they are currently airing, they just wrapped up season 3 or 4 of Better Call Saul, which is the spin-off prequel to Breaking Bad's character Saul Goodman. So, we had that going for a few years now, and Breaking Bad fans are very content with it. It's a great show. It's turning out to be a slower burn than we all expected to begin with, but it is really paying off now that he's inching towards that character that he is in the series. That being said, the only loose end from the Breaking Bad show was Jesse's, conclusion. We have a definitive, we have a definitive ending for Walt's character, but he kind of just drives off into the night, and we never hear anything from Jesse, and it is a very weird situation because it kind of just left it completely up to you to decide of what everything happened. So right now, this thing came out of nowhere. We knew that Vince Gilligan signed an overall picture deal with AMC, and he was going to be developing different things for the channel. And nobody really anticipated anything would be Breaking Bad related because the main characters are pretty much covered. And until they decided to come out with this, and It is basically going to be following Jesse's character after the events of Breaking Bad. And this is just speculation at this point for me. Is I'm wondering whether or not he's going to meet up with Saul Goodman's character, who is currently living out in the middle of nowhere, managing a Cinnabon with his new with his new identity and everything. So we don't know a lot of details of where everything's heading at this point, but we're getting a conclusion, and that's exciting. I'm a diehard Breaking Bad fan. It's probably one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'm just I'm at that point where I want any detail that I could possibly uncover as to what this thing is going to be, and unfortunately, they're keeping tight-lipped on it.
Yeah, because all the other major characters from the show had been killed off. So
pretty much, everybody's about dead, and then there's characters that are fan favorite. But I'm just saying, I would never watch a Badger and Skinny Pete spin-off show. I'm sorry.
Were those Jesse's two
yes.
drug addict friends?
But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably would. It'd be entertaining.
Yeah, you you only have Jesse, you have Saul, and I guess you have Walt's wife and kid.
Yeah, and how many episodes of Skyler making breakfast for Walt Jr. is going to be interesting at this point? Yeah, everybody else is gone, and the interesting thing about Jesse is, he is a loose cannon. Even throughout all these episodes, he's notorious for relapsing, both on drugs as well as falling back into this abusive relationship with Walt. And it begs to question if he is fucked up beyond the point of repair. Like, is he going to continue destructive behavior after the events, or is he going to live an interesting life, or does he have kind of like I guess does he clash in a situation that's going to bring him back into a similar life? Because let's be honest, at the conclusion of Breaking Bad, there's still a lot of loose ends that haven't been tied up. They pissed off Cartel, they pissed off fucking major drug runners and everything throughout the series, and then just because the storyline ends with the two of them doesn't mean everything else in that world stops. So it's curious.
Well, just to kind of bounce off what you were saying about them pissing off all these people, as far as those people knew, Jesse was dead. Indeed,
but there's always that chance for a story to be taken in, something in a direction where somebody opens their mouth about something else, and it could all be pinned on him. Or, at this point, we're getting to the point where we're just speculating to no end. But all it takes is a good story, and it could go in an entirely different direction.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty much expecting a pretty interesting and unique story.
I'm hoping we get that. I'm hoping that we get some flashbacks, because that'll give Bryan Cranston a excuse to come back. What I'm really hoping is that I'm not sure if your wife's been watching the Better Call Saul show, but
no.
Each season starts with a cold open. It starts and generally ends. I think it's not always ending that way, but it starts with a cold open where it checks up with Saul Goodman's character and his new identity. And over the last couple seasons, he's really, really becoming tempted to go back to his old lifestyle, or tempted to out himself, or just he's got moments of paranoia, and he's always looking over his shoulder because of everything. I want an entire season of just his character currently, because it's just so interesting to me to see the residual effects of that lifestyle, and how how they've peaked and then they crashed. So what I'm really hoping is that maybe the two of them link up in some way. Maybe he returns back to his lifestyle in the future, and Jesse, maybe he's recovering at that point, and a familiar face drops into his old lifestyle, and that brings back a whole lot of memories and behavior that were thought to be previously gone.
There are definitely a couple different paths they could take with this story. But as with everything we discuss here, we're just going to have to, wait for more details to come out.
It's always the worst. We always get these little news bites, and it's just like, hey, something super excited to talk about for the next, 2 years or something like that. I mean, shit, I remember when the last season of Breaking Bad was airing, just that week time frame, just to sit there and discuss the previous episode. Like it was rough. You'd have all sorts of scenarios playing out, people talking of what's going to happen on this one. It was like truly intense, and now I've got to deal with that till this movie starts to show the light of what it's going to be like. So, but I mean, that's the fun of being a fan.
Yeah, that is true. But with something as popular as Breaking Bad, I don't think they're going to be able to hold back on giving us details for too long. I think fans will get more details and more nuggets of information than you would expect.
Agreed, and I eagerly await.
So next on our list is the Hellboy reboot, which we haven't talked about in a while. But they recently announced, finally, that Lobster Johnson has been cast, a character I've been hoping would be in this movie. And he's being played by Thomas Hayden Church, who I don't hate. I think he could work, but I'm really going to have to see him, in the costume and see his overall demeanor. Lobster Johnson is sort of a serious character in the comics. Very old school. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Church plays this character. But for the most part, I think I like Church in most of the things I've seen him in.
I was about to say, I'm a little cautious because of a Sandman, so I think he should be in superhero movie jail for a little longer before re-entering the franchises.
That wasn't his fault.
I know it wasn't, but still, it's he should not have been in that movie.
I think he did fine with what he was given.
Yeah, all right. If you put it that way, I guess. But it's just so bad, so bad.
I mean, don't chastise an actor for being in a poorly written, poorly directed movie.
I'm gonna try not to, but at the same time, it's like, how do you go wrong that badly? Well, you know what? I'm gonna be giving it a chance because obviously this whole new Hellboy movie is pretty much everything is looking fantastic from my perspective, and I'm not a huge diehard Hellboy fan, but I respect the comics. I respect the previous film. I'm not going to say films because I still haven't seen the second one. And I know. At this point, I don't want to watch it just to keep the joke running for a little while longer. But I'm going to go into this one open-minded and look for a new story to latch onto. Another fandom to really appreciate.
Yeah, and I've said this before. It's funny that they're going with the Rise of the Blood Queen story arc.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a very intense story arc to just be starting with. And it, a lot of serious things happens in that particular story. And I'm wondering if they're going to, follow suit in this movie and, have all these serious beats hit.
I think we had a conversation about this previously, and I remember what happens. Yeah, no, that's a hell of a way to kick the door in when you're trying to reboot a franchise and really get it going. Do you think that Hellboy is going to have the staying power? Like, I think the original Hellboy came at a time where superhero movies were either really good or really bad, and I think people weren't ready for a movie like Hellboy at the time. Do you think they are now?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Especially if they go the route the first two movies take and do like everything, like do the movie 90% practical effects, costumes, makeup, all that stuff. That's what made the first two movies so unbelievably special. There's one scene in Golden Army where Hellboy and Liz and Abe, they go to the troll market, and it is just it's just a feast for your eyes when you see all of these practical creatures and monsters walking in a bustling bazaar of oddities. It might be one of the most visually pleasing scenes ever in a movie, because you're just looking at masterful craftsmanship in every single creature and monster that walks in and out of frame in that scene. And it's just wonderful, and you just don't get that in movies anymore. Some movies will do some practical effects and the rest will be all CGI. And I'm not saying Golden Army didn't have CGI. There were some scenes where they had to have CGI. There was no other option. There were some battles and some creatures that just you cannot bring to life in the real world. But that does not change the fact that the movie was like 75-80% practical, and it was marvelous. And if this reboot knows what's good for it, it will stay 75% practical.
So far, it's looking that way. I'm really optimistic that they're taking the right route. It seems like they learned from what they've done previously. Not even learned; they just kept the knowledge, and they took a look at what they were doing in the more recent Star Wars movies, where they're like, the marriage of both worlds is what makes everything truly come to life, and there's no reason not to do it. You got a big budget anyway. Why sit there and worry about funding? Do it the right way, or don't do it at all. Last question I do have: is Abe Sapien going to be in this story arc? Or?
As far as I've seen, he has not been casted.
Okay, so who do we cast? I say Doug Jones again. I don't like this weird taboo where it's like, don't bring the same person into a reboot, a remake, but he was fucking wonderful. He's wonderful in any movie monster that he's portrayed. He's like truly a treat for everybody.
He's amazing in everything he does, and I have a soft spot for Doug Jones, simply because he was the first and only actor as of right now to portray the Silver Surfer on screen. And as everyone should know, the Silver Surfer is my favorite comic character of all time. He did play the Silver Surfer, though Lawrence Fishburne voiced Silver Surfer, which I also enjoyed immensely. But the character of Abe Sapien is a overall very endearing character, and Doug pulled it off perfectly. So finding somebody who's going to be able to match his prowess behind the prosthetics, it's not going to be easy.
No, not at all.
So that's possibly why they haven't cast him for this movie. He may not be in this movie. As far as I can tell, he's not. Just like I do not believe the character of Liz is. I do not believe she's in this movie either.
I think we could get away with casting somebody. Who's the original Liz?
Selma Blair.
Selma Blair. There you go. I think we could get away with somebody to replace, but I think that Doug Jones is irreplaceable. And the fact that he's a monster, I think they could realistically get away with bringing him back as a character, maybe changing up the makeup a little bit, maybe slightly changing the voice a little bit, but he nailed it. So I'm hoping that this franchise does well. I think the time is right. Everything is looking great. The photo that they released the other day of Hellboy running down the hallway, Christ, man, he is going to be wrecking people with how built he looks. that picture was pretty awesome. So I'm really hopeful about this. And you know what? I'm gonna make a promise now. I'm going to watch Hellboy 2 before I go and see this one.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
You got my word, man.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Don't worry. Soon, sir. Soon.
So, next up, Once Upon a Deadpool hits theaters this December, and the Fuck Cancer charity has been announced.
God, I love this.
Alright, so what exactly is all this about?
Well, I think a better word would be fuck Aquaman, because doesn't this come out the same day as Aquaman, or did they get scared and
I think at this point, Deadpool is definitely not afraid of Aquabro, alright?
Oh no, I think Aquabro is afraid of Deadpool. That's what I'm saying. But essentially, this is going to be a PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2. And from the trailer that was released and all the information, it looks like one of Ryan Reynolds' demands for them to do a PG-13 cut of this movie was to kidnap Fred Savage, and he got his wish. Apparently, Deadpool kidnaps Fred Savage in this movie, and from my perspective, it looks like he's going to be reading him a story of Deadpool 2. And this is a wholly weird experiment, because a lot of people are confused that, is this another Deadpool movie? Is this a sequel? What exactly is this thing going to be? And it's basically what I just said, a PG-13 cut with added scenes. They obviously filmed some bookend things to kind of add a few more things to it. And from what I hear, they filmed additional scenes for the movie itself. So that's going to be interesting. But the thing that I enjoy the most about this is they're going to be adding a charity aspect to it. And it may not seem like a huge deal, but they're going to be giving $1 for every ticket sold to Fuck Cancer, which will be renamed Fudge Cancer, this way. So it's easier for people to swallow. And it's going to be this big charity event for the limited engagement movie. So they're doing some good while, trying to mess with Aquabro's budget or their weekend intake, and add a little bit more of a dipping their hands back into the jar for a second go at the box office.
Yeah, very noble.
Yeah, I think it's cool. The trailer seems pretty amusing, and Fred Savage is a total dick in the trailer, which is great. It's very self-aware too. Fred Savage makes fun of Fox's version of Marvel versus the Marvel Studios true version. So that was a nice little dig, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna go see this just because I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and why not? It's something to do.
I'm sure it's going to do extremely well.
It certainly seems like it.
I think this movie is going to hurt Aquaman more than Aquaman is going to hurt this movie.
That's really funny.
Yeah, alright. So, Aquaman comes out December 21st.
I'm trying to find it too.
Yeah.
So bear with us. Okay, it's clearly not coming out May 18th. December 12th.
Okay. But
So
something I think
not
something
going
else is
head to
coming
head.
out. Yeah, I think something else is coming out that week though.
I'm not sure.
Um,
I do like their little tagline. A Deadpool 2 is
Oh,
back in theaters
Bumblebee.
with zero F.
Bumblebee is
Yes.
coming out on December 21st next to Aquaman.
Dude, that movie is going to get completely ravaged. However, I'm hearing very, very good things about it so far. So far, everybody has been saying Aquabro is a very fun movie, a nice distancing from the rest of the other movies, and kind of gives hope that the continuation of the DCEU is heading in the right direction. So with that said, fingers crossed that Shazam, that looks great. So maybe we're on a dawn of a new era, but who knows at this point.
Yeah, going up against Bumblebee is going to be tough because Bumblebee actually looks good, dare I say. With
I still haven't watched the trailer. I heard, you told me that it looked good, but I haven't gotten around to it. I just never really cared about those movies. But the thing you got to keep in mind with this Deadpool thing is it's already made it's already filled its coffers. They already made bank with the first release of it. This is just a little added bonus and toying with the market of PG-13 audience because kids love Deadpool, which is problematic for the R-rated movies that we've been getting.
Yeah, but you know what? If kids want to see an R-rated movie, they're gonna see an R-rated movie. You ain't stopping them.
Oh yeah, that's true. You know what? I think this is a perfectly good compromise. If they release it for the R-rated audience that shows up and then some, and then they get a re-release for a more kid-friendly version, I'm okay with it. Just so long as this isn't testing the waters to water it down to a PG-13 movie the next go around. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to play out that way, but it's still smart to play to both audiences.
No, without a doubt. And it's not like this new version probably cost them that much money to put together.
No,
so
probably not.
So we'll see it do some pretty big numbers. So to stay on the topic of early reactions, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is just getting glowing reactions. It seems like everybody is in love with this film. Spider-Ham steals the show. I didn't think I would ever say that.
Seriously, when I heard that, I was like I was a little annoyed that he was in it. Like I have no problem with it, but I'm not a huge Spider-Ham fan. I gotta say.
I don't think most people are.
Yeah, I just kind of rolled my eyes at it. It was always good, to have a Spider-Ham story in the back of an issue that was really good, but completely detached from what you just read. But apparently he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I read multiple reviews, and all of them mentioned just how great Spider-Ham was. It's like, what? Really? All right. I have to say this movie was really not on my radar too much, but I might have to go see it just because of how great these reactions are. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till official reviews come out, and just make sure this isn't some fluke. Early reactions sometimes really can't be trusted.
Yeah, I hear you. There's a lot of excitement generally coming out of a movie, and then once that excitement cools down, you kind of get the real story of the film. But it's a Spider-Man universe film, and I'm very cool with it because we're getting all sorts of characters that we weren't getting in the main films, and it kind of has to it's allowed to have more fun than the other ones. You know what I mean? Like it's able to be something that the films don't that the films aren't always allowed to be because they have these higher stakes. They're big blockbuster movies. So this gives them an opportunity to make a film that's a little more enjoyable, a little more wild ride. So I'm very much in, like down for this film. There's no way I'm going to get out of seeing this movie because one, I love Spider-Man. That's obviously first and foremost. But my cousin's daughters recently taken a liking to the Spider-Man PS4 game, and I gotta say, the 4-year-old is a savant when it comes to web swinging around New York City. And it was like my cousin actually thought that it was me controlling the controller, and it was pretty amusing. But in any case, the two of them became instant Spider-Man fans, and now I'm bringing children to go see this movie. So I'm seeing it one way or another.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on it, and perhaps I'll go see it. I do like Spider-Man. I do have a giant, awesome Spider-Man poster behind me, and I actually have another one over here. You can't see it on the webcam. So I do like the character. Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. Something I did not keep my eye on, and something I did not expect, is what is leading us into our main discussion for the night. And that is Venom passes Wonder Woman at the box office with $822 million worldwide. This movie almost is like it's close to a bit. Now, obviously, it's not gonna hit $1 billion, but it's close to $1 billion. Venom is close to making $1 billion. Venom, with no mention of any other real Marvel character, no mention of Spider-Man, has beaten both Batman vs Superman and Justice League. Venom. What is wrong with this picture?
I was gonna say that Venom is fully capable of beating these franchises. I really think that the popularity of the character through the years has all the potential in the world of knocking out the competition. What I didn't think was going to happen was that a Tom Hardy-led Venom, especially after those trailers, never in my wildest dreams would have ever expected this version of Venom to ever be a powerhouse like it is. It's unfathomable to me.
And I'm trying to figure it out. Now, I haven't seen the Venom movie yet. I will at some point. It just wasn't something I felt like spending money on. And a lot of people do seem to like it, and there's a very vocal amount of people who don't like it. So this is probably a mediocre movie at best. What's strange is how a mediocre Venom movie is still getting more praise than a bad X-Men movie and a bad Justice League movie, and it's making more money than both of them. Are fans starting to embrace certain bad movies over others? I mean, I've seen it. I've actually finally seen X-Men Apocalypse in its entirety, and oh Lord,
Yeah,
that's a rough one.
Yeah.
That is a rough movie. I can't really say anything about Justice League because from the parts I have seen, it's just bad. So I can't really say how I feel about that movie as a whole because I just haven't seen it yet. And I mean, it took me, I don't know, maybe 10 viewings to get through all of Batman vs Superman. I mean, that movie just fucking went on and on and on, and nothing happened, and just on and on and on. Batman was a moron, and oh god. So those bad movies fans hate, But Venom, which maybe I shouldn't really call a bad movie, it's just a movie that missed hitting its full potential despite making over 800 million, is being embraced by fans. Maybe the fans are seeing something in it. Maybe the fans are seeing potential in the movie. That's why they're behind it so much. Obviously the character design, they did that well. I think Venom looked great in the trailers and all the TV spots and everything. It did good. From what I read, the translation of the character was pretty good too. His powers and everything, and the relationship between Venom and Eddie seemed to be very, very close to how it is, early in Venom's career in the comics. So it seems like even though they missed some notes, they hit enough notes to, I think, fans realize that the series has the potential to be something special if they build upon it and fix the mistakes they made in the first movie. Would you say I am accurate in that analysis?
I think so. Having just seen the movie, I kind of left the film wanting to see what comes next. However, I will say that the film is stupid. The writing in the movie is very, very... it's almost insulting to a person that enjoys like a well-written story. It is very, very digestible for any age person, and especially for somebody who just wants to shut their mind off and watch some stupid action. And I'm not saying stupid in a way where it's a horrible movie. It's just very, very dumbed down and watered down to the point where it kind of throws back to the old days of superhero movies, like where, like the Daredevil eras, the Fantastic Four eras, where the dialogue is just very hammy, and it has a story that could be explained in one sentence. There's no complication to it. Here's the obvious bad guy. This is what the obvious bad guy is doing. He's going to keep acting like a bad guy in the most comical bad guy manner possible. The interesting dialogue or the interesting form of writing in this movie comes between Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock and Venom, the symbiote. I never would have expected a buddy cop relationship between the two. And I'm stealing that from a reviewer. Somebody said that it was very buddy cop-like, and I don't think I could describe it any better, because just the two of the characters banter back and forth, despite how obviously childlike it is. It is. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of addictive. It's so bad it's good kind of addictive. You just want to see more of the two of them bicker and things like that. And it's such a weird dynamic between the two of them to kind of to go off and be the way they are, and to go back and forth with each other. That being said, once you're through this movie, you just want to see them continue going on these little adventures of, Tom Hardy's character obviously wanting to hold back Venom, who is an alien and doesn't quite understand the etiquette of the world. It's a regular Riggs and Murtaugh situation. And it's so fucking weird, because one of them is a person, a dumb New York City journalist. I don't know how Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock fucking managed to get in a current affair type show, like a Geraldo Rivera type show, but he managed to. The stupid cameraman from the comic books, he somehow is a great investigative journalist in this film, but that's besides the point. One is a investigative journalist, kind of a dumb New Yorker type, and the other is kind of a dumb wherever the symbiote's from type, and they're just two peas in a pod. They're fucking Balky and the other guy. I don't remember his name from Perfect Strangers or whatever. It is such a weird dynamic. So yeah, you kind of. I don't think you want to see the potential. I think you want to see more of them. Yeah, as long as like heads getting eaten off and you see more cool Venom action, the story doesn't matter. The dialogue doesn't matter. How in your face and black and white these stories are. It's a situation where who gives a shit about all that stuff? Well, just so long as you give me this dynamic between the two of them, then I get to see Venom and people getting their heads bit off and things like that. So it doesn't matter. It's a great film to shut your brain off to and just have fun. And it was weird because like I ended this film by going like, wow, that was really regressive. Like we stepped back a few paces when it came to that story, but for some stupid reason, I want to be able to pop in Venom 2 right now and just keep on going. You know what I mean?
It seems like that was a very common feeling amongst fans.
I've never felt like that. It was just so bizarre that I wanted to see a continuation almost immediately of a film that wasn't that great. I don't understand it.
I guess there was enough charming aspects to the film that made it, likable.
Yeah, for sure. Shay, can I give a spoiler? I think we've talked about this constantly, and it's pretty much very widely.
Where'd you go?
Are you cool with that?
Oh,
Yeah,
your mic just died out for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you can talk about spoilers, sure.
And nothing major. Obviously, there's a character that Woody Harrelson plays in this movie, and I can confirm that it is indeed Cletus Cassidy. And it's he's in a post-credit stinger. Spoiling this shit all for you. One thing they did, I liked, and then I hated, and then I'm still anticipating the sequel. But in any case, after the whole situation with Venom wraps up, the mid-credit scene is fucking Eddie Brock going into this, high maximum security place, and you find out that he was requested personally by the serial killer, and the FBI agreed to it because they want to try to get some information out of him. It might benefit their case, and it's very, very throwback to Silence of the Lambs, which I thought was cool because like seeing Cletus Cassidy in a Silence of the Lambs type situation in a Marvel superhero movie is cool to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. However, seeing Woody Harrelson with red eyebrows, curly red hair was so weird to me. And the fact that the film had to end on him saying that there's going to be carnage, wink, wink, I was just like, oh, cringe. So much cringe.
Well, I read, I think just a day or two ago, that there was actually a bit more filmed with Cletus that I think is coming on the Blu-ray.
That's cool. I've heard that the Blu-ray might actually, I don't know if it's the first release, but I'm hearing that we might be getting a director's cut. So that's going to be interesting because from what I've read, the director, I think it was kind of out of his hands on whether it was going to be R-rated or not. I think it was pulled from him and it got cut down to a PG-13. So if we do get a director's cut, we might get some more Venom violence. We might get some more Cletus. Just things that the film may have felt like they were lacking. So fingers crossed. If we don't get it now, we might get it in the future. You know how they are with double dipping. So, but it is still cool to see fucking Woody Harrelson playing, the 2B Carnage. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think if a director's cut does get released, that's going to quiet up a lot of fans who are making a lot of noise that it wasn't rated R.
Yeah, and I love rated R movies, don't get me wrong, and I'm okay with having some sort of compromise. If people want to try to make more money by making a PG-13 movie, fine. Just give us the director's cut when it comes to the Blu-ray or whatever. But at least make the movie coherent. Like there's like I hate to trash DC, and I know there's a couple people in chat that don't want me to right now, but like we don't need a 10-hour version of Batman versus Superman to get the story right. You know what I mean? And just because they have that version doesn't necessarily mean it was the right thing to do with completely destroying the original cut of it for theatrical and making it like completely incoherent and like having multiple interviews needed to explain how this movie gets from point A to Z. So as long as they edit it properly and they cut it, in a very coherent manner, I'm very cool with that compromise.
Wait, so are you telling me you're not a fan of Batman versus Superman, the Ultimate Edition, Director's Cut, Final Edition?
It's Batman v Superman, and I'd like to plead the fifth. Oh, yeah. That was good.
Well, I think it's just crazy that this movie is doing as well as it did. I mean, that's insane. I think this movie made more money than Spider-Man Homecoming.
I think it has all the potential in the world. I just hope they get smart about writing. We got Morbius coming up next. I forget what the release date. There's a potential release date out there. I don't want to put into the show because it's not for sure, but we have Morbius coming up. Venom's getting a sequel. Real quick before we wrap up, did you see the Japanese advertising campaign for Venom?
Yeah, it was insanely awesome.
Like, no, I'm talking about the girlfriend thing. Why Venom would make a good boyfriend to a girl.
Oh, I think I did.
It was so weird, but hugely viral and hugely popular, and I was baffled. Like, nothing is making sense with this movie, and it's working in all the right ways. It's actually really fascinating. I would watch a documentary on this.
All right, so I was wrong. It did not make more than Homecoming. Homecoming pulled $880 million. So, I mean, it's coming pretty close, but it's not going to pass Homecoming.
So for a film that wasn't expected to do this kind of business, it did that kind of business.
Yeah, it's still mind-boggling. John is getting a little mad at us.
I see that.
Listen,
I'm the more positive one about it.
John says, I don't know if I want to make stuff for DC haters. Well, then you go and tell DC to make better stuff, okay? And then I'll stop bashing them. Until then, fucking enjoy Aquadude. Aquadude, bro. At least Shazam looks funny and entertaining. I don't know what else I can say. It's DC dug their own fucking hole, alright? I don't want them to do bad. I'm not fans of the characters, but again, I don't want them to do bad. I want them to make entertaining movies. I like entertaining movies. I like comics. So, obviously, a DC movie is still going to appeal to me, but when they're dog shit, they're dog shit.
It's just with how much damage was done with those initial movies, it's very, very frustrating to sit here and wait for movies to get made to try to course correct.
They could have course corrected. After Man of Steel. Man of Steel was a mediocre movie, and they could have course corrected there, but they doubled down and made a 10 times worse movie.
I could live with Man of Steel. I think the pacing issues in that movie were unforgivable, but it was still a competent movie. Batman versus Superman, on the other hand, they needed to put a leash on that boy. The fact that we went to something like Wonder Woman and we had a little light at the end of the tunnel, and we're like, okay, now we could work with this. They went and hired him again for Justice League, and it's just...
Oh, so we're not even just going to mention Suicide Squad?
You know what?
You like that movie.
Problems. Yeah, I did. There's a lot of problems with that movie, but the characters really bring it together. Them killing off that one dude in the very beginning, that was a little bizarre, but, they
Slipknot, right?
Yeah, Slipknot, yeah. They picked some really good actors throughout that entire film. It might have been a misguided script, it might have been a power struggle as far as, who gets final cut and whatever. And by the sound of it, the dude that directed, he's remaining professional, but you could tell that there was some turmoil in that whole who gets final cut type shit. So it was good for what it was, but like they had a chance, and then Justice League just did it again. So it's to sit here and wait for more glimpses that the future of DC could be bright. It's tiresome.
Well, thankfully, it's not something I'm keeping an eye on, or something that I honestly care about. Again, if they make a good movie, that's great. I'll go see it. I'll support it. But care less. Aquaman, to me, it doesn't look that good. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Some of the visuals do look really nice. But I don't know. It's just the character. I always thought that Namor was a way superior underwater fishman character. I don't know what else you'd call them.
Yeah, right.
So, and I hope Marvel eventually gets on the ball with that and makes a Namor movie. But I think the rights for that character are all funked up. They're just...
Was it Namor or Submariner? I thought Submariner's...
It's the same character.
Oh, okay. There you go. Then,
yeah, the character's name is Namor the Submariner.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never was into him at all, mostly because of Aquaman. Aquaman was bored the shit out of me as a kid, so I'm like, I don't want another one of those water characters. I'm good.
Yeah, Aquaman is boring. Namor is just an underwater dick. Like this guy.
Underwater dick. I want a shirt that says that.
This guy flooded Wakanda because he could. He was just an asshole.
I like it. It's kind of rude, though.
Yeah, well, he does those kind of things. But yeah, so
you know, I'm going to be naming one of these future episodes "Underwater Dick." Hopefully, it's for Submariner movie. I mean, that would be pretty great.
I guess we'll see in a future episode. But to wrap it up here, so $822 million. It is a massive haul for a movie that I did not think would make $500 million. So, hats off to everyone who was a part of this movie. Well done, I guess. All right, you got anything else you want to add into this before we wrap it up?
Nope, I'm good. I think that I spoke more than I should have on Venom, but overall it wasn't a bad movie. It's a bad movie, but it was a fun one. So, check it out. Shut your brain off and just fucking watch Venom make a turd joke at the end of the movie. I don't know. It worked.
There you go. Well, it's just when you're talking about something you really enjoyed, it's kind of hard to stop yourself from going on and on about it. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely surprised me. At first, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, and by the end of the movie, I was like, man, they need a sitcom, these two.
Well, I guess we'll see. With that kind of money, a sequel should be announced, like, any day. But only time will tell at this point. So that is going to wrap it up for us this week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We covered a lot of cool topics this week. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Share out the podcast to any friends you think might be interested in it. We are trying to grow the channel. We are trying to grow the overall viewer base and listener base. So any type of shares is definitely much appreciated. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. You can follow the Way of Life Twitter account. We really don't post too much on it. It probably would be better to follow the Dead Entertainment Twitter account, which is at Dead End Site. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dead Entertainment. You can find me on Twitter at Bates_MotelMT, and you can find Mungus at Ray Mungus. I think that's about it. Again, we will be doing our live commentary in December. Silent Night, Bloody Night. We don't have a date yet. Hopefully by next week we have a date set and we can let everybody know. This should be a fun one. Again, blind movie. We've never seen it, so we have no idea what to expect. You got anything?
Yeah, tune in next week. I want to say Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be... Well, actually, it's probably going to be later on in the week, my bad. But on Monday, I'm going to be conducting an interview with a star of this upcoming movie. It's a Hulu series. It's basically an anthology series with a movie-length film for each month that celebrates a different holiday. This upcoming one for Christmas is called Cuckoo, I think. Let me just double-check that really fast. It's called Puka, and I'm going to be conducting the interview with the lead actor from that film. So look for an article, look for an interview. We're probably going to possibly air the interview itself. We're going to record the audio on one of the future episodes of the show. We're definitely going to be doing a review for the show. We're approved the screener, so we're going to be checking that movie out soon. But in the meantime, I believe Puka arrives on Hulu. Hulu's Into the Dark on December 7th. So definitely look into this and keep an eye out for the interview. Right now, if you want to check out a trailer for Puka, you could do so in a second when I post it in the chat. So I just closed out of everything like usual. But yeah, now I'm about to post the link in the chat. Check out the trailer. Check out the movie. There's 2 other films / episodes that are currently up on Hulu. So definitely check them out.
All right, there you go. So thank you guys once again. We will see everybody next week. Make sure you tune in to this interview next week. I guess more information will be up on the site. Maybe about this interview?
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, as soon as it's conducted, we're going to get down to transcribing the entire thing and doing the review and everything. We're going to have a big old post about it, so keep an eye out for that next week. At the very latest, the Monday after. But, we got a little bit of work to do.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to that one. So thank you, everybody. We will see you all next week. Same time, same place. And remember,
what do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.